Written, directed, and choreographed by the Mayweathers themselves. Get off the Lord's bus if you ain't got correct change.
When you make the decision to stay overseas for a longer period of time, your comfort zones are going to be challenged. This could be anything from the temperature of your room to the size of your refrigerator to what time the local store closes. All kinds of things are going to get challenged. But in these challenges lies opportunity. If you use these opportunities to not only expand yourself as a person with your character, you could also use these opportunities as a way to push your language boundaries and make yourself better at the language. I remember the first time I saw the subway map in Osaka and I was just floored. I couldn't believe it was so big. And you see all of the colors and you think, how in the world can I get to the right station? And so you follow colors, and eventually that's the first way that you do it. But you can't do that with buses. And so you see this is outside of Osaka Station, and they have 12 different bus stops, and they have, I think that looks like 18 different buses or bus numbers. How would you know how to ride the right bus? That's why you need to learn the language.
Man, put your hand down, dog. Are you out of your mind? You actually expect me to get on a bus?
From March the 16th, when you get on One Touch, One Touch for the bus stop, One Touch to get off the bus to pay. Unfortunately, in America, we have a negative connotation with riding the bus.
You have no idea why they put them great big windows on the sides of buses, do you? To humiliate the people of color who are reduced to riding on it.
You can see here, when you get on the bus, you touch your IC card, you hit your bus stop, which rings a bell, and when you get off, you touch your IC card and you get off the bus, and it's very simple. And not only is it simple and fast and easy, but it's something that most everyone partakes in because it's just so darn convenient. Take $20, $30, $40, go to your nearest kiosk or convenience store, load money in your card, and get on and off the bus with ease. The problem is, how do you get to where you're going? We all have our preconceived notions, one's best left at home, but often when you are out and about and you are challenging yourself and trying to see what you can do with the language ability that you have, you'll see small things like this that will humble you. So this is a 5-year-old boy, and this is something you see quite often here is young kids, they'll be in their school uniforms or whatever, and they'll get on the bus, take their ticket or swipe their card, sit down just like everybody else, and go where they're going. And if a 4, 5, 6-year-old kid can sit down, check the fare tables like that, know where he's going and know where to get off, surely as an adult, we should be able to do it, right? Regardless of where you go, you'll see maps in various languages as confusing as this map of Osaka subway system. Or how about the tentacles branching out from this medium-sized subway station that denote bus stops for multiple different buses by color? Or even reading the bus schedule itself and looking at a great variety of numbers and times and understanding which days and what time the buses come. To this, I say that there's only one way to attack these kinds of issues. If you are in a new country or a new city or whatever, and you have a loose day to travel and see the city, I would suggest jumping in feet first. Just go see the city. I'm not saying jump on a random bus, but do your research and jump on a bus. Give it a shot. What's the worst thing that can happen? You get lost? For me, I think one of the most exciting things that can happen when you're overseas is to get lost. When you get lost, it puts your language skills to the test. And if you've been sitting in a chair, flipping through your phone, doing Duolingo, or you've been flipping through note cards or through a textbook, it seems dull and trite, and there seems like there's nothing to it. But when you get in that situation where, oh my gosh, what's that word? And you're snapping your fingers, oh, this word. And then you turn to the lady that's walking down the street or the shop owner and say, I'm trying to get to this place. Which bus should I ride to get back to where I'm going? And you can hear those instructions, and guess what happens here? You expand your comfort zone. You went from, I'm just going to take a taxi, or I'm just going to take the shuttle bus, to let me go a bit out of my comfort zone. And often when you do this, really wonderful things can happen. One thing you often see as a foreigner who lives overseas is you'll see people come from overseas as visitors, and they'll go to, in this case, Starbucks. If you come all the way from the other side of the world and you come to Kyoto, in this case, and you go to Starbucks and you get essentially the same coffee that you would get anywhere else, it's almost as if you're not really experiencing the country, because if you go to Kyoto, there are hundreds, if you will, of small traditional coffee and tea shops that offer you a very unique experience. Now, if you want to go to Starbucks after you go to those, I think that's cool. But one of the really cool things about going out of your way is that you find really cool stuff that you would not have found otherwise. Because let's be honest, you can find McDonald's, you can find Starbucks, but that little tiny coffee shop, may not be able to find that one. When I was studying Japanese, one of the words in my word list was the word kisaten, which basically means coffee shop. But I remember asking people about the word coffee shop and why they weren't directing me to Starbucks. And what I learned was that it's a word for the small local coffee shop. And so if you ask for where the nearest coffee shop is, they'll say, well, Starbucks is over there. But if you say, where's the nearest kisaten, they will direct you to a place like this. And they have a famous pudding, which clearly is very famous because this TikTok has 2.2 million watches. And this gentleman, he prepares a very popular Japanese dessert, which is caramel pudding. And you see him scraping out the pudding, which people absolutely love. And this with a cup of coffee is 700 yen, which is about $5. And so if you are someone that's looking to go off the beaten path, you can come across a place like this.
Now I'm going to get on that bus and you going right along with me.
I talk about it often, but being comfortable outside of your comfort zone is the key to growth, especially for language learners. Think of it this way. When you're hungry and you have access to a McDonald's or the kind of food that you're normally eating back home, in that situation, instead of just going to McDonald's, why not just go to the local store, the local restaurant, and try and talk with the people behind the counter? The next time you want to get a beer, instead of walking to the convenience store, to the local supermarket, go to the local tavern that's right near your hostel or where you're staying. Go in there and chop it up with the people. Talk as best as you can in the local language. Now, it might seem scary at the beginning, but some of the biggest jumps that you're going to make in not just language ability, but confidence are going to come when you take that leap of faith and say, I'm going to do something that I normally wouldn't do. And you realize, oh my gosh, I'm still here. I am healthy. I survived it. That was actually kind of fun. And that's why you should get on the bus. You ride the wrong bus, make a mistake. So what? Figure it out, learn from the mistake, and then guess what? Sooner or later, you'll be able to ride the bus instead of being one of the foreigners who's looking for taxis or running to McDonald's every time they're hungry and saying, this place is just like all the other places. When you learn from experience, it's not. Why? Because you took a risk and got outside of your comfort zone. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.